Hello, everybody. My name is Joe Kozfkay. I'm the state fisheries manager, and I'm normally stationed in the Boise headquarters office. Today, I want to give a brief presentation on the process for season setting for fishing regulations. And so I'll start that PowerPoint presentation right now. All right, our 2019 through 2021 fishing regulations booklet is about ready to expire, and there's basically a pretty specific process for updating that, and part of that involves public input, of course. We want to know how you feel about what you want to see in our next regulation booklet. In Idaho, we're very fortunate to have a great diversity of recreational fishing opportunities. And part of ensuring that those opportunities are maintained in the future is ensuring that we have appropriate fishing regulations. Okay, our fisheries program is guided by this document, the statewide fisheries management plan. We update that plan every 6 years. The current plan is available on the website. It runs from 2019 through 2024. It contains historical knowledge, summaries of public opinion surveys, and staff knowledge about particular fisheries learned through sampling of those populations. After we write this plan, we run it by the Idaho Fish and Game Commission. They approve or modify the plan as needed until it becomes an official document, and then we use it as staff to sort of guide our efforts. It contains goals and objectives for various fisheries. So in any particular water body, it may tell us to manage for a certain species and try to provide a catch rate of, let's say, 1 fish per hour, or an age or length structure of, let's just say, X. So fishing regulations are one way we can sort of achieve those objectives. Occasionally, we need to modify fishing regulations if effort changes, harvest changes, maybe populations decline, maybe populations increase. So within the 6-year period of our guiding document, that is the statewide fisheries management plan, we run 2 3-year regulation booklets. The first one I already mentioned is about ready to expire, and we're nearing a time when we need to update that booklet to produce the new one to be ready for the 2022 fishing season. So just a little bit of bureaucratic speak here, apologize for that. Regulations and rules are slightly different. Regulations, which is what we are trying to update right now, are things like season dates, opening and closing dates, bag limits, size limits, gear and bait restrictions. And all of these are sort of under the statutory authority of the Idaho Fish and Game Commission. Rules are slightly different. We are not looking to modify rules this time around. They run under a separate timeline and process. And just for an example, rules are things like the sliding sinker rule for sturgeon. So that is actually specified in IDAPA. It requires negotiated rulemaking to modify, and it also requires legislative approval. Another example of a rule is sort of what defines a fishing tournament or a fishing contest. And so they have very specific criteria which are identified in IDAPA. So moving on, our fisheries management plan has sort of key tenets of our regulation philosophy identified. And so any regulation change that we modify, it needs to align with the fish management plan. We strive for simplicity. We strive for stability in that we don't want to change regulations unless they're absolutely needed. The public has told us they don't like that when we do that. We also want to ensure that any change that we do is meaningful. We should expect a biological, social, or economic outcome from any change. We also want to provide a diversity of opportunity and make sure that the regulation changes are fair. Obviously, we don't want to discriminate against any sort of user groups or stakeholders. So a good regulation shapes angler behavior. And by shaping angler behavior, somehow you're going to shape that fish population. And generally, when we're talking about regulations, we're talking about decreasing harvest in some manner or increasing harvest. And we can do that in a lot of different ways. And I mentioned some of those ways earlier. So the regulation process, we kind of look at it in basically 6 steps. The first step, data gathering and informal scoping, is always going on. Our staff is always doing that, no matter what time of year or how far along we are in the regulation booklet. They make note of all the input they gather. We obviously are learning about the fisheries all the time. And then that information is recorded and we utilize it for this process. However, now we're beginning step 2, formal scoping. It begins essentially now. We're going to run it through mid-April. We want to listen to your ideas about what you would like to see us focus on. From those ideas and also staff ideas, we generate draft proposals. We present those draft proposals to the commission on May 5th and 6th. They may choose to forward those proposals, they may modify those proposals, or they may delete them. Once that happens, we develop, now these are called formal proposals. In the midsummer, we put them back out for public opinion surveys. We gather information about the responses from the public. We then develop staff recommendations based on that input, and then we present these sort of staff recommendations to the commission in step 6 there in mid-November. And then the commission essentially votes on whether or not to adopt those staff recommendations and make them sort of new fishing regulations. After November 15th, 16th, we actually begin publishing the new booklet. And so that's a quick rundown of the process. And by watching this video, we know you're interested in participating. So we're thankful for that. We want to hear how you want your fisheries managed. So all information about this process is available on the website listed in the top bullet there. We hope that you participate in our virtual meetings. We have one for each region. There will be regional presentations recorded, and we will have live sessions where you can pose questions to the regional fisheries managers. And then lastly, we're going to have web comment forms where you can provide very specific information. So with that, that ends my talk, and we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.